Hey guys, so I just watched Dr. Sleep. It's directed by Mike Flanagan and it's the sequel to The Shining, one of the most popular horror films of all time. And in this movie, struggling with alcoholism, Dan Torrance remains traumatized by the sinister events that occurred at the Overlook Hotel when he was a child in The Shining. However, his hope for a peaceful existence soon becomes shattered when he meets Abra, a teen who shares his extrasensory gift of the shine. Together they form an unlikely alliance to battle the True Knot, a cult whose leaders tried to feed off the shine of innocence to become immortal. Now, disclaimer before I start this review, I haven't read The Shining or Dr. Sleep. I haven't read any of the novels, so just kind of watching this movie as a movie, and I don't know anything about what happens in the novels or what's different and what's not and all that stuff. But let's talk about Dr. Sleep. I only saw The Shining like a couple months ago for the very first time, and I don't think it's like a masterpiece or anything like that. It also might just be because it's so fresh in my mind and I just watched it recently. But to be honest, I like Dr. Sleep a little more. And this movie also did make me appreciate The Shining even more, so I'm happy. So starting with the negatives to just get them out of the way first, there's a few scenes where they use CGI and it could have been a little better, but it didn't bother me too much. Another little nitpick is that the third act does get a little fan servicey, but you kind of do need a little bit of that, especially since there's so much time that has passed since The Shining came out, and The Shining has gotten so much recognition since then. And finally, the only thing that was less of a nitpick and more of an actual problem I had with the movie was that something happens at the end that kind of leads into the very last scene of the movie, and it was well done, but I wish they just let it linger a bit longer, and I felt like the transition into the last scene was a bit too abrupt, and it made it a bit less satisfying. I know it seems like that's a lot of issues, but that was really my only problem with the movie. Everything else was just kind of small things I noticed, because this movie is just absolutely fantastic. Let's start with the performances. Ewan McGregor I thought was pretty much perfect casting for Dan Torrance. He was really great in the movie and he played off well with everyone else in it. Kyliegh Curran, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, is the little girl in the movie who also has the shine like Dan Torrance, and she was fantastic as well. She's excellent in the movie and her chemistry with Ewan McGregor is also really good. Rebecca Ferguson is a fantastic villain as well. She is really menacing, and surprisingly a lot of time is devoted to her character as well as her kind of crew that she's doing all these evil things with. And that was really nice to see because it provided a lot of good perspective on both sides and it made it all the more better by the end. I was surprised as a whole how well written the characters in this movie were. I mean, you really do want the main characters to succeed just because there's so much time devoted to them. This movie is 2 hours and 31 minutes long, and I pretty much never really felt the runtime. I mean, there's a lot of scenes that have kind of the same style as The Shining in storytelling, and of course it's gonna work for this movie if it's a sequel to The Shining. And the music is great. Of course, we have that wonderful score from the original movie. I guess I can see why people wouldn't like some aspects about the movie. They do have to change some things, like, there's different actors for characters in The Shining in this movie and stuff like that. But, they kind of have to do that, and I just disregarded it because, like, what else could they have done with stuff like that? So I myself didn't really have a problem with it. And also a major thing with Dr. Sleep that I love is it's scarier than The Shining in my opinion. There's a lot of creepy imagery in here that worked for me. And without spoiling anything, the old lady from The Shining is like 10 times scarier in this movie, and I'm not even exaggerating. There is jump scares in this film, but they do feel earned, they're handled well, and it is kind of the same sort of jump scares that you might have remembered from The Shining. Not like in terms of what happens, but in terms of how they're handled. And I thought Mike Flanagan did an excellent job directing this film. Also, there's a really famous child actor that I was not expecting to be in this movie. I'm not gonna say who it is, but I was like, okay. So overall, Dr. Sleep is a fantastic sequel that I would actually surprisingly want to watch more than The Shining. It has excellent performances, amazing writing for the characters, it's super intense throughout, has a great villain, and it made me appreciate the original storyline a lot more. Despite a couple small things here and there, Dr. Sleep is amazing, and I'm going to give it an A. Definitely check this one out if you like The Shining a lot, and if you haven't seen The Shining or this movie, watch them. It's a great storyline. This movie is really good. It's probably gonna end up on my top 10 of the year. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe, like, and share. I'd really appreciate it if you did. And as always, have a great day. Peace out.